Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're picking up this video. Doesn't who knows? Could be any of those times. Well, welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host Owen, the channel that brings you your team every single day. Team that brings you the team. No, not the team. The channel that brings you your team for free every single day. A channel run by fans for you, the fan. All you've got to do to make sure that you never miss out on the daily news videos, on the breaking news videos, on all the videos that come out, also the live streams, the podcasts, and everything else is by hitting that sub. And if you ring that notification bell, set your notification to all, you'll never miss out on any of your free Glasgow Rangers content. Well, it's match day, guys. Match day. Wow. You know what? I know we've said it before. I know we've said it 4 times technically before, but it's actual, real, proper, genuine, bona fide, 100% match day. League match day. 3 points at stake. The first game of the new season. The first real test of Michael Beale's new signings. The first real stern examination of what we've managed to achieve in this week since pre-season ended, as we get ready for this first league game, a tough league game away at Rugby Park on that horrific plastic pitch that should have been pulled up ages ago against Derek McInnes's Kilmarnock. Derek McInnes, no doubt, will have this team very well drilled. They'll sit back, they'll kick, they'll foul, they'll have the hammer throwers in the midfield who will try their very best to disrupt our players and do all they can to break up the flow of the game, because they don't want to play us. Let's face it, very few of the teams in Scotland ever want to play us. That lot from across the city, possibly the two Edinburgh teams, maybe the Sheep, and that's pretty much it. Everyone else just wants to sit in and play for a 1-0 defeat or a jammy draw. That's what it seems to be. So no change there today. I think Kilmarnock will again try and make it tough for us, try and sit back. I don't see them as having much forward threat. I think the guy's called Vassell, is it? I think, I think their sole intention will be to keep it tight at the back and not really throw anything for going forward. I think set pieces will be their biggest threat. But Rangers have changed this summer, haven't they, in terms of their physicality, in terms of the makeup of their team. You just got to look at the players that have been signed. The majority of them all big, huge monsters, over 6 foot, physical, definitely get in there to kind of get in there and fight and certainly cut it with those, let's say, slightly amateurish at times footballers from some of the teams like Kilmarnock, St Johnstone, Ross County, etc., who seem intent only on fouling, kicking, and pushing, and doing everything they can to play for that amazing 1-0 defeat they all seem to want. Well, certainly seems to be the case anyway. Or perhaps I'm being too Rangers arrogant. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. But it's great to say it's match day. It's great to obviously be able to watch Rangers live again, be able to watch Rangers actually play a game that has some meaning. Now, ahead of the game today, Michael Beale has been speaking to the media. So we're going to talk about what Michael Beale has got to say. We're going to look at Scott Wright and his ongoing situation. He's obviously been included in the European squad. What does this now mean? We're also going to look at Alex Lowry, whose future has been decided. He is off out on loan. And also in this video, we're going to talk about Malik Tillman. Now, you may wonder why we want to talk about Malik Tillman. Well, Malik Tillman is going to be sold very soon to either a Premiership team or a Dutch Eredivisie team, which will no doubt mean that Rangers get a substantial windfall. More of that to come shortly. Well, anyway, Michael Beale has spoken to the media today about his team and about obviously the game at Kilmarnock tomorrow at a very weird 5:15 tea time kind of kickoff for Rangers in their first league game of the SPFL season. Michael Beale spoke pretty much solidly about the game. He spoke about some of the players. He spoke about fitness updates, and there was lots of useful information passed on to the media today by Michael. Michael says it's one game at a time. Their sole focus is on committing to this game today. There's no focus ahead. I think that's a possible reference, obviously, to the Champions League game coming up on Wednesday against Servette. Michael Beale insisting that the full focus of the squad, of the team, and of his coaching staff is on Saturday's game against Kilmarnock, and their minds are not wandering off to the Servette game, which is upcoming on Wednesday. He also spoke about the fact that Connor Goldson has trained and has returned to the squad, which is excellent news to have Connor back. Like I've mentioned on previous videos, I know Connor is someone who, divides fan opinion. There are those fans that criticize him and say that, his mistakes are ridiculous. He blames everyone else. Yet there are other fans like myself who rate Connor, who think he's a good defender, who think his leadership and communication skills are absolutely fantastic. And stats don't lie. For those fans who don't like Connor Goldson, that think he's a liability, just look at the stats. We can see twice as many when he's not here. We gain less points when he's not here. So the fact that when Connor plays, we do better should show you that what a vital part of this team he is. Like I said, goals conceded is less, and also points per game is more with Connor Goldson in the team. So great news that Connor's back. Also back in action is Leon King. Now, when Leon King injured himself in that preseason training camp in Germany, it was feared that he could be out long term with an ankle injury. However, unlike Tom Lawrence last year, it didn't turn out to be worse than what we thought. And Leon King is also back and available as well, although he has not obviously been included in the European squad. One player who will not be available tomorrow, which I think will delight of a lot of Rangers fans, is Ben Davies. Allegedly still overcoming this sickness bug that he's had, while everyone else seems to have recovered already. Also, Ben Davies not included in the European squad. More of that to come. So the players who are available, obviously, to play at centre half tomorrow are Goldson, Suter, and King all back. I suppose you could also play Lundstrom in there. He can play centre half. Let's face it, he's got to try and find some way he can play because he's pretty awful in midfield. So, interesting one indeed that Connor is back and available. Also going straight into the squad is Jose Cifuentes. Now, Jose only joined the other day, and obviously further from LA, and he has been included in the squad to play Kilmarnock on Saturday, which has come as a shock to many, as many people thought that he would not be ready or available in time to play against Kilmarnock. Now, Michael Beale did joke that he had to have, really needs to have Jose Cifuentes involved in the squad to get him used to it, to get him to know his teammates, to get him used to the pace of the game, and also, to realise the huge difference between Ayrshire and Los Angeles. As we know, obviously, Ayrshire is a lot nicer than Los Angeles and a lot hotter, so I've been told. So let's face it, Jose Cifuentes, is available and could well feature tomorrow against Kilmarnock. I very much doubt he will start. I think we could well see Jose come off the bench on Saturday, which would be fantastic to actually see Jose Cifuentes in a Rangers jersey in a competitive game actually playing. He has some match sharpness. Obviously, he's had a couple of weeks off since the MLS break, but right up until that, he was playing regularly for LAFC. So his match fitness and match sharpness should certainly be there already. It's just a case, I think, of gelling him in with his new teammates. Michael Beale also commented on the fact that they'd recruited very strongly over the summer. And now is the time to try and bring this squad together, to gel this team, to make it one team. And that was something they were continuing to work on a daily basis. He talks as well about how this recruitment had really led to real competition in places and a bit of battle, for certain positions in the squad, particularly obviously around the number 10s, where there is an awful lot of 10s in this squad at present, including the new ones that have been signed. But Michael Beale spoke about that. And competition for places is good. Iron sharpens irons, two dogs, one bone. All those terms that we have. If you've got two people pushing, both wanting one job, they're going to push each other and push and push and push and try and get better and try and show more and try and be more talented. And when that happens, you get obviously a knock-on effect, and you get an increased level of performance in the game and the actual game itself, as that player tries to hang on to his positions. Only good news for Rangers. What else have we got? It's also about, as well, Michael Beale said, forming an identity on the pitch, showing the world and the rest of the league and everyone else what this team is. What it represents, what its identity is in terms of its passing style, its defending style, its aggressiveness, in terms of who it is as a team, its team identity. And that's another thing that Michael Beale identified as being very important indeed. He also talked about the fact that he has been really impressed with the support he has received from the board. And the board have certainly done a fabulous job this summer in backing Michael Beale and helping him to bring in all his targets. In particular, there was praise for James Bisgrove and the work that he has done at the club. And I think we can all agree that since James has come in as CEO, although he officially took over on the 1st of August, he has been absolutely outstanding. So, things moving in the right direction. Good to see, lots of key players will be involved tomorrow at some point. Lots of competition for places and a very tough selection for Michael Beale ahead of the first game of the season against Kilmarnock. One player who, could well be in contention for a place, at least on the bench, or even a place in Europe on Wednesday night, is Scott Wright, which will come as a shock to many. Now, it was rumoured very heavily that Scott Wright was going to be on the move to Turkish team Pendikspor. However, I am now hearing that move has broken down and will not go ahead over contractual terms, not wages, just sheer contractual terms. Although I think Pendikspor's status, its stadium, and where it is at the moment may have also been an off-put for Scott Wright as he seeks to sort of build himself back up to a standard to be able to, to build himself back up anyway and get himself, into a team that is befitting of him, and also the fact that it's similar to Rangers. I think once you play for Rangers, you play for the 52,000 and everything like that. Scott, I think, wants to really prove himself, and I think Pendikspor perhaps was not the right place for him, hence why he has made that decision. Also mentioned as well in today in terms of transfer news, transfer speculation, and rumour is former Rangers player Malik Tillman. Now, Malik Tillman has a decision to make over the coming days and weeks. Who should he join from Bayern Munich? Apparently, Bayern have accepted bids from 2 teams, Sheffield United of the EPL, who signed Austin Trusty, and also PSV Eindhoven. Now, for me, that's a no-brainer. You go to PSV, you've got a chance of winning the Eredivisie, playing at a higher level. You've got a chance of playing in Europe. Whereas, yes, I know you play in the Premier League, but realistically, Sheffield United are probably heading for relegation this season. They're not substantially stronger from the team that finished as I think at times struggled to actually get that runners-up spot and could have easily thrown it away had a team really gone on a run from that chasing pack. Personally, if I was Tillman, I would be joining PSV over Sheffield United. Like I said, just because of the name, just because of the fact they play in Europe, and just because I think the fact you'll be surrounded by better players as well. And this is a permanent move now. The rumour is the fee is about £10 million, which would mean that Rangers would get a windfall of about £1 million from this deal. Given the compensation package that was put in place by Bayern when they broke the terms of the loan deal. So certainly interesting news indeed to see Malik Tillman heading off to either England or Holland. Now, the European squad was revealed today, as we got a video earlier about that. But, some really interesting omissions for me from this European squad. Also, a big lack of homegrown talent as well, which has reduced the numbers in the squad. So Jack Butland, Robbie McCrory, and Kieran Wright all make up the goalkeepers. So John McLaughlin, no place for him. I think, like I've said before, a teller that he is perhaps on his way out of Ibrox. Certainly not someone who is clearly rated. And has, a future at the club. I think he has. I think he proved in that second half that he played against Olympiacos how bad he was. That that he really does not have a future, and it's time to move him on if possible. Turning now to the defenders, James Tavernier. We've got Ridvan Yilmaz. Ridvan, incidentally, will miss the game against Kilmarnock on Saturday due to a strain, which means that Borna Barisic is likely to start. God help us all. John Suter We've got Connor Goldson, we've got Dujon Sterling, Leon Balogun, and Borna Barisic. Perhaps the big surprise there, or a big surprise is there, should I say, no place in that team for Leon King, no place for either for Ben Davies, which comes as a bigger surprise given the fact of how many games he started last season. Is this an indication that Rangers are ready to move on from Ben Davies sooner rather than later? The fact that he's not been included in the Champions League squad, the fact that he has you know that he has obviously not performed to the standard that is expected of a Rangers player, a chance that he could well be on his way. Now looking at the midfielders, we've got John Lundstrom, we've got Yanis Hadji, Ryan Jack, Jose Cifuentes, Kieran Dowell, and Nicholas Raskin. Big omission from this, obviously, is Tom Lawrence. Tom Lawrence is not included in the European squad. This may be because he is still obviously overcoming an injury. Lawrence, who's just come back from a real severe injury, sustained a slight knock and has been out ever since. So Lawrence is apparently starting to get back in training, but is still not fully fit. So perhaps not such a big surprise that he has been omitted after all. I think there should be made at the group stages. There may be a review of that squad, and if he's playing anywhere near his form in the SPFL, we could see a change in Dundee United, a change in the European squad. I was just laughing at them the other day. Sorry. Now the final, obviously, group is the forwards: Cyril Dessers, Todd Cantwell, Sam Lammers, Abdallah Sima, Scott Wright, and Danilo Pereira. The big omissions, obviously, from this is Fashion Sakala, Rabbi Matondo, and Kemar Roof, all not included in the European squad. I think a signal been sent out by Michael Beale here, of signal of intent of which players have no future at this club and should start to obviously look to move on. But as we found, I think over the last few days and weeks, it's becoming increasingly hard for us to move some of these players on, as teams don't want to pay the fees, teams don't want to take them on board, and perhaps that's entirely understandable given the performance that some of these guys have put in recent seasons. Okay, so final story today, Alex Lowry. Now, obviously, Alex Lowry is not in the European squad. Reason being, he is joining Hearts on loan, a season-long loan, although Rangers do have the option to recall in January. It's felt that a move to Hearts, moving the SPL, will give Lowry a real chance to develop his skill, his talent, and for Rangers to see, up close exactly what they've got in this young man. Lowry, who's had some questions over his character, his attitude at times, will obviously head off to Edinburgh to play for Hearts and hopefully come back a better player for it. It certainly seems interesting to see that Lowry has been lent out, like I said, for the whole season, unless Rangers choose to recall him in January. Well, guys, thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. As always, it's been a pleasure speaking to you here on the channel. We're building obviously towards the game at 5:15. Please hit that sub, ring that bell for me as well, to that notification bell. And if two things I need you to do for me. Number one, smash the like, and number two, remember always, we are